Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet Fandom Wire Live. We do this around 2 o'clock every weekday. Thank you for joining us. If you're on Facebook, you can leave a comment, engage. If you're on YouTube, you can do the same. Super chats will get you shown on the show. So let's get involved. Let's have a conversation. We're here to talk about the news you want to talk about. And the big news that broke last night was just a shock around town, around everywhere, that Disney CEO Bob Iger was stepping down. But that wasn't really what was so shocking. I mean, it was shocking, but the fact that it was effective immediately, that was really what was shocking. I'm like, what? Whoa, what? Why? What? Bob Iger's coming off massive success with the past year. We're going to break it all down. We're going to speculate on why would you leave Disney? What's more powerful than that? What are we doing? In order to do that conversation, I brought in my buddy Lewis. What's up, Lewis?
How you doing, Andy? Thanks for having me here again, man. I've been watching the show all week. It's it's really exciting to watch this.
Yeah, no, it's fun to have it. Look, I want to have a conversation here about, because everyone I see, a lot of people already hating on Bob Iger. Good riddance. He's ruined Star Wars and Disney. Guys, you're delusional if you don't think Bob Iger was a massive success at Disney. Probably one of the best studio CEOs we've seen, just from a monetary value. Like, he's crushed it. Now, look, there have been falters, steps along the way, but you can't deny that his buying of Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, getting into Disney Plus, these were all massively successful moves that put him on the map in a way that I think most people would kill to be on. And he's respected around town. Everything I've read, seems like a really smart businessman, knows how to do it. I have nothing but respect for him as a CEO and businessman. You got to take your emotions and your fandom out of it and watch it as a business. And I got to say, I think he has done a great job. Let's make sure we share our opinions before we get in the conversation. Do you agree, Lewis? What's your feeling on Bob Iger?
Dude, he's employed. I've met him, right? And you just feel a presence of leadership with him and respect. And he was able to treat everyone in a nice way, talk to everyone. Great guy, very approachable, considering who he is. I mean, Disney's the company. It's the biggest company right now. I mean, even talking about Disney creates jobs or creates revenue. So Bob Iger is 90% successful in everything he does. And when you take risks, you take risks to be great, but you're going to fail sometimes, right? We want risks, right? We as fans want risk taking and stuff. And Iger has taken them and he's mostly succeeded. So I don't think there's a vocal minority, I would say, saying good riddance, but he's done an excellent job, man. Hopefully he comes to our channel right here and starts managing it here. You'll see it blow up in no time.
Let's break it right now. Come on, Bob. Come on the channel. We'll break it here at Fandom Wire and Popcorn Planet. Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's important we say that, because a lot of people say that he wasn't good at what he did. Yeah, he was. Just because Star Wars movies were run by, he wasn't overseeing the gritty creative decisions. That's why he wants to leave now, because he realizes he needs to. That's the sort of excuse he's using, is that he's put in this interim or this new CEO, and he's sort of stepping in. In fact, we can get to sort of the news piece sort of before we get to the super speculation, because I see some comments already speculating on what I think what I think is next. But going through this article, it sort of was the shocker, but he put in, let me just increase this for us. He put in, here we go. This is sort of a breakdown. Some referred to him as the Babe Ruth of media executives. He acquired Lucasfilm, Marvel, most recently Fox, in a $71 billion acquisition. Under Iger, Disney grew fivefold into the largest entertainment conglomerate in the world, with leading positions in movies, TV, theme parks, leisure industries, consumer products, and more. Multiple contract extensions in recent years, the 69-year-old heavy hitter has increasingly been under pressure from investors to anoint a successor, because he didn't want to be there for long. He kept doing these little minor extensions, and it was clear. That's why I wasn't surprised he was leaving. They've been talking about him leaving, but I was surprised that it happened so quickly and that it was effective immediately. And so they've been looking for a successor who could take over his current contract when it runs at the end of 2021. When his contract was going to expire. Instead, it was a huge shock to Wall Street and Hollywood when, with 22 months left on his contract, Iger announced that he would step back in a role as chairman of the board, while 27-year-old company veteran Bob Chapek, 60, most recently in charge of theme parks, would become the new CEO. And a lot of people are now obviously replying, the supreme leader is dead. Good riddance, Disney. Like, you guys are crazy. This guy was a smart businessman. Wall Street investors, don't like surprised, reacted by dropping the value of stock by 4.8% on Tuesday, fell another 3% in the aftermarket. So anyway, people are freaking out going, what the heck? It's a huge surprise, stock analysis said. Laurie Martin, sadness is the fact that as of today, they don't have a new parks head yet. Makes it feel like it's all very sudden. That's a very good point, because yes, while they were smartly like replaced the CEO quickly, they didn't replace their head of parks. And you think you'd want to get all your eggs in order before you announce, hey, here's the plan, hey, here's the new head of parks, here's the new CEO. Let's make it seem like you have a plan, because Disney's sort of known for not having plans, right? At least in Star Wars world. So the timing of the announcement, just weeks after an upbeat earnings report, created an air of mystery around a transition that had been frequent parlor talk in Hollywood. Everyone's been speculating when was this going to happen. Speculation Iger would retire has increased in the past couple of years, during which he mulled a run for president in 2017. Before convincingly saying he would never run for office, this year Iger was quoted widely while promoting his best-selling book, which we're going to get into. Why now? Iger's for the record with investors, and after buying much of Rupert's stock, launching the company, the major structural changes he wanted to have had been made, and now he said he has decided that I should be spending as much time on the creative side as of our business, because that becomes the biggest priority. He couldn't get Iger said he couldn't do that while running the complex company on a daily basis. My goals when I leave here, Chapek, will be as steeped in all that matters creative at the company as I am today. So look, I think that is a very telling piece that I see. I don't think that's like you want to. He's right. He made all the strategic moves. They bought Fox. They're now got to figure out Hulu. They got to figure out Disney Plus. It really now does come onto the creative task of the library. And all right, well, what are we doing now? We have all these IPs. We have all these properties. How are we actually creatively fulfilling those libraries to make sure people are wanting to come back and buying subscriptions, right? And doing all that. So I think he's right. And then now he can sort of be like, I don't need to worry about all the stuff. You're going to do it now, dude, because that stuff's kind of boring. Now he gets to like step back and be like, cool, I get to go do all the creative. I get to go figure out what Star Wars, how do we fix Star Wars? How do we get Pixar going again? All these things that he wants to do. Now he can actually be there on the floor helping creatively, which is either good or bad. We'll see. But I do see from an excuse standpoint, it's a pretty good one. Lewis, go ahead.
Man, and when you read it, he's 69 years old, man. He's almost 70. The guy wants to move on to things. I think he has political aspirations, like you mentioned in the article. I think that's happening. I think Disney is probably 5 steps ahead of what we know. They probably have a lot of the stuff already in place. As far as the stock market's concerned, I wouldn't worry too much about that, because from what I know, and people invest their money, they're kind of like, since this was a surprise, they're like kind of shocked. So they want to sit back, look, and then attack. And a lot of people, they're going to make a lot of money once the price bounces back, I think, personally, right? So
yeah, I agree.
So, and Isaac, this guy, he's done a lot for the park. He's very ambitious as well, like Bob Iger. He's done a few things that the fans are kind of upset at, like prices have gone up. The Galaxy's Edge is perceived as maybe also a misstep. But again, it's taking the chance, daring to be great. And that's what Bob Iger did. He dared to be great, and he became great. Now it's this new guy's chance to be great. And don't forget, Alan Horn's still around. So there's three guys running the show. So he's the wild card.
Yeah, he's not gone. He still can sort of oversee things. I mean, so let's talk about why, because we talked about this last night on Change My Mind, because it broke, and we talked about it a little bit with me and Jody over on Popcorn Planet. And my initial reaction was just like, why would you leave? Like, what job could be better than running Disney, right? If you're like a filmmaker studio head, like what are studios bigger than them right now, right? Like, you have control of everything. Everybody wants to work with you. You got all the money. You got the parks. Who doesn't want to access the parks? People can hate on Disney all they want, but it's access to things they do want to see because they're jealous or whatever. Why would you leave that? And so that I didn't really figure out. And then as commenters, everybody's sort of replying. It's like, oh, he wants to beat Trump in 2024. Because
you asked
narrative right now that like Trump's going to win. There's a lot of worry from liberals and everybody else. Trump's going to win. He's more of a liberal base. I think he sees, well, if I'm going to even attempt to do a 2024 run, because there might be a shot that we need a new Democrat to sort of take over. Why wouldn't he then? He would need to leave now. He would need to make sure he's really phasing himself out so it's working before he leaves them in a thing to then go pursue that potential future, because who knows if he's gonna, but look, that is a realistic thing that I think people would be open to hear him. He's a really well-spoken, smart guy who's made billions, and he's respectful. And so my point being that whole like, okay, well, what's better than being the head of Disney? Oh, he wants to be president is where my head immediately goes of like that. Okay, well, I guess that's as high as the ladder you can go, right? I mean, do you think that's a realistic thing that he wants to do?
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. What studio would be better to run? The America studio.
Right? It's true.
You know what I mean? So, we have the controversy right now with who's running for president, blah, blah, blah. His internal research may be showing that it is going to be the current president versus him in 4 years, and he's gearing up for it. It'll be a bigger shocker if he just quits and then runs for president, right?
Right.
But he's going to meet a new amount of blowback, in politics. There's going to be some dirty tricks there, and the real test for Bob Iger is going to be with politics. Doesn't matter how much money you have. We've seen billionaires get their butt whipped and their reputation destroyed there. So that's going to be the next dimension. But again, he's daring to be great. In the history of the world, Bob Iger will be mentioned.
Well, I've watched when he did that book. I was like, why are you doing this book? It was such a weird move when he made his book. 'Cause I'm like, why would you want the CEO of a company to start sharing mistakes and secrets and things? But that all makes sense now in the guise of, well, he's running for president, right? Because he's starting to like get out there and understand, get his name out there and have people, see him in that sort of way.
Yes.
He's this guest. He's out there in a way of putting himself out there that people can see him in a way that they haven't really seen him before, right? And so I made a point to go out when he did his book tour. Like, he was out talking to outlets, right? He was doing interviews, and the dude's really well spoken.
Oh yeah,
the dude is humbled. Surprisingly, the dude is smart. I remember him sharing. I watched some interview he did with Oprah where he shared the story, which is it's all in his book because it gave him a reason to talk about it all. But the day where he was opening Disney in China or whatever it was. Was it Japan? I don't know where there was a Disneyland opening up.
Shanghai.
Yeah, Shanghai. It was like a huge success. He was like, oh my God, this was huge for us. We were building this park. And that morning it was sort of launching. He talked about the day that child got, eaten by the alligator at Disney World, which was like the most horrific thing you can talk about. And the way he was like sort of sharing the story and how he handled it, it impressed me. Like, I was like, wow. First of all, he went there. He talked about it. Like, and he was really respectful, and didn't feel like he was doing it to like get attention. My point is, like, the dude could handle a very like scary, complicated thing that seems like a huge blemish on Disney World, but then owned it and like talked about how he fixed it and how the parents were there, like, and what he's done for them and how they wanted him to be vocal about it so that people knew. So he is a smart man. He's a smart talker. He knows how that needs to do. And so Trump proved you don't need to be in office to be elected. And this guy has led all of these things that the masses love, knew how to run a business in a way. It is a seemingly realistic storyline now that maybe he could do it. And I got a comment here. I want to say thanks for the support of the stream. Cool story, bro. It's sad that our political system is becoming dominated by billionaires. Yeah, I mean, it is though. I mean, that happened 4 years ago. And now because it succeeded, people like Bob Iger are like, well, wait a second. I don't need to go like be a senator or a governor, like do any of that. I can just immediately run and then just be smart and have enough money to knock out the competition and win.
All about getting your message across. We could all have great messages, but if the algorithm doesn't let you get that message out, no one cares. No one knows you. So it's all about being familiar with the audience. If you want to make a change, go out and research other politicians, but whoever has the money has the advertisement. So that's the way it works.
I don't want to get into a politics conversation, but I see a lot of people like, well, but Bloomberg, he's not winning. Look, Bloomberg has a lot of skeletons in his closet, right? That's what we're proving. Yeah, he's not as electable as he thought he was. The money didn't help him. And now with someone in office who has skeletons in his closet already, it's like we're in a place where we want someone who's buttoned up, is what I might argue. And I feel like Bob Iger seems like he's pretty buttoned up.
Yes.
Feels like he knew, like, since a child, like, I'm not doing something stupid to risk my career. Like, he seems like that type of guy who knows, like, I'm not messing up. I'm not cheating on my or doing this or whatever. So if that's true, it only helps him even more. And he's well spoken, and he's actually like, it's just hard to deny that he's the type of billionaire that you're like, well, damn, I can't ignore his track record and his respect level and all that stuff. So the fact that he ruined Star Wars isn't to me going to be a reason why I would vote or not vote for him as a president. There's going to be
fun fact. Is he really a billionaire? I heard he's worth $700 million. Just
good point. Change. Yeah, seriously. I don't know if that's enough, Lewis. Right? So now there you go. He doesn't have to. He's a millionaire. He's not a billionaire.
Yeah, but he has this presence, man, of leadership and running Disney. Man, I even see the PR running the movie part of it, and they're like. They're like running around with like chickens without a head. So for him to run the entire company, that's big props to him. And he looks way younger than 69. I'm going to tell you, he walks up straight. You just feel the leadership, the vibe when he's around, and people forget his age. So he's got to move on because the life expectancy is the life expectancy.
Well, if you want to run for president, he realizes the clock's ticking. He's got to get there. But what I was going to say was you can read, if you read his book or listen to interviews, he talks about his like routines and creative routines, and he's a smart guy, guys. He is. Hate him, Star Wars, hate him for some of the Disney decisions, whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you want to be successful in life and business. Like he's a guy who did it right and is respected. And I was going to say, if you're running for president, my God, think of the endorsements he'll get. Like he's hooked up everybody. Like even Bloomberg, Trump, they're having trouble getting like major, huge A-list, endorsements. But Iger's been sweet talking his whole life with every Avenger in the world who are going to come out in full force. So my point is like, it seems crazy. Who knows? It's still a long shot, but I don't know. I mean, someone must be coaching him of why. Yeah. As Lewis, you just said, what's better studio is there to run than America?
Well, look, here's the deal. Whatever Bob Iger does not, run storyline with Star Wars if you're upset or whatnot, but you got to admit he tried something awesome and it didn't fit. It failed maybe, but when Star Wars, we're going to get one part of the trilogy 1 year and then a standalone the next, and the streaming and the stuff like that. That's like a Star Wars person's dream after waiting so long between movies. I was on cloud nine. Maybe it didn't work, but he tried. He dared to try something different. Let's give him props for that, because George Lucas was just sitting on the property doing nothing. No, he didn't even write. He wrote one draft for episode 1 and then filmed it. Sorry, that's the fact.
Well, the other fact that I feel like most people don't realize, I watched that Toys That Made Us show over on Netflix, which is really fascinating.
Yeah,
and they did an episode about the Star Wars toys, and there was a part in that documentary that blew my mind. Did you watch it, Lewis?
I've heard of it. They've actually filmed at Frankenstein, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, so they talk about the fact that it was Kenner who had the original toy rights, and they had it for like nothing. They had to pay him like, I don't know what it was, $13,000 a month to retain Star Wars licensing rights, and it incensed Lucas. He was so upset, like, this is ridiculous. What we need to be, but the contract, they did it early before it was anything, and Kenner got in and made a deal and invested a lot, and they earned it, and so they had to pay this monthly fee. And then some accountant at Kenner forgot to pay the monthly fee. And once that happened, Lucas got the rights back. And guess what happened as soon as he got the rights back? The prequels. He finally made the movies when he got the toy rights. So it's when you really think about it, it was all calculated. Like he realized, why would I make more Star Wars movies when I can't even make my money in my merchandising, which is the one thing I'm like supposed to have? And so it all feels like he was always in this for the money. Like when I hear that, I'm just like, really? You waited all that time just so you could get the toy rights back before you decided to jump into the prequels head first?
Well, we had that debate on Nerd Wars, and I told you the original sin is that deal for the toys. That's the problem with Star Wars. It's the toy deal that Lucas made, where that's where he actually makes his money. That's where you get silly characters coming in, no character development, just prop.
Yeah, building out more figures, all that stuff. Totally. But anyway, Lucas was a genius in that regard, where he passed up some of his upfront dough to get sequel and merchandising rights, which at the time, no one cared about that. They're like, yeah, whatever. These dolls don't make that much money. And he reinvented the whole game. And now no studio in their right mind would ever give that up unless it's someone, the likenesses they need, whatever. But anyway, long story short, Lucas knew what he was doing. Lucas chose the money over the creative numerous times. We can prove that. So it is what it is. So for everyone who's sort of blaming, Disney, like it's a business. Star Wars is a business, whether we like it or not. That's what it is. But, I think Favreau and Filoni have come in and proven, well, look, you can still make it a business, Baby Yoda, etc. You can make it a business, but then be creative about it, and then delay Baby Yoda's delaying Baby Yoda's merchandise was brilliant. It made all those toys that are coming out. I can't tell you how many people are like, did you buy your Baby Yoda toy yet? Which they're all going to start dropping soon. And it was like, it was brilliant. I saw so many channels and people had arguments with like, oh, Disney effed up. They weren't ready with the No, they were brilliant because
now they're saying they milked the Baby Yoda. Now they're saying there's too much. So it's like, you can't win. You got to like kind of blank the agenda driven commentators out. Bob Iger is awesome. That's point blank. Just like you said it. Forget the complaining. When you take risks, you fail a lot. And guess what? You know this term as a journalist. You could have a million stories correct, but that one story you get wrong is the one everyone talks about. Same thing with Bob Iger. He may get a million ideas. He gets one thing wrong. That's what everyone harps about. But his batting record is awesome. I would have him on my team. Not that he's coming, but hey.
Yeah, no, I would have my team. Anybody who says otherwise is just being ignorant. Of course, you ask. Now, I mean, the truth though is it's a weird business to run, right? Because it's just a lot of movies and franchises. But he is running companies. He's figuring out profits. He's doing a lot of stuff. But is it like running the country? I don't think so. I think there's a lot more stuff he'd have to prove. But my point is, like, he was good at that job. He was good at making Disney money, right? That's the bottom line. And now you can dislike some of the creative decisions that were made, and you can blame Kathleen Kennedy, JJ, Ryan Johnson, whatever. Overall, you can't deny that he made a lot of the money. And one last thing I want to sort of also point out that I realized in my discussion of it last night, I kept wondering, why did Disney release all of those massive chapters this past year, right? It was Endgame, Captain Marvel, Lion King, Aladdin, I'm missing some, Star Wars, Frozen 2, Toy Story 4. Like, they dropped so many movies back to back that felt like, why are you bursting your load? Now it makes sense, because Iger's like, I want my last year to be as most profitable as possible so I can goose the numbers and have all these reliable IPs, the biggest ones we have, all come back the last year I worked there. Brilliant. It was brilliant because you remember, like, last year was insane. The amount of billions.
Disney topped off by Disney Plus. Come on.
It was awesome. My point is, he knew it. And when you go back and look at the movies Disney released last year compared to this year, and you can't tell me that Bob Iger wasn't like, I went out immediately in 2020 because I put every good movie we had out. Every movie I knew was a guaranteed moneymaker. I put it out so I could leave successfully. It's a little skeevy. At the same time, it's kind of brilliant. No?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I didn't even think of that one, but man, again, daring to do stuff, like he's doing stuff. And there seems to be a little bit of a void in Disney product this year, right? Like with Marvel, it's kind of like, where is it? There's like, even though we have a few films coming up, there definitely feels like a void, and history is probably going to say that the year Bob Iger was there, it was packed. And then the next year it was kind of empty, right? Or kind of a letdown a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
I want to call out this comment because Cameron, let's have a conversation, Cameron.
I'm
sorry, but I'm not on Team Iger. This gushing about him is kind of trash. Sorry, not sorry. All right, Cameron, listening. Why? Why is he trash? Trash because of Star Wars? What? Because of what? What is he trash? How did he not make Disney tenfold its money back? How did he not put them on the map in a million ways as a business CEO? Did he not do his job at the height of his powers, if not exceed the expectations of his job? How is that trash? Like, I'm at a loss, and I'm sorry I'm calling you out specifically, but you put yourself out there, so I'll wait for your comment reply. What about that is trash? Like, yeah, I understand. If you want to blame Star Wars, how do you know that's his fault? How do you know he put people in charge to lead Star Wars and they didn't lead it? That's the problem. Now, maybe he should have sort of cracked the whip a little harder, but I feel like he did. He went into the press and said, yeah, he admitted we jumped in and we put too many movies out. Dude admitted it. He was right. They jumped too much and he clearly didn't have the people in place that could do it. So I'm confused how that's trash.
And don't get me wrong, Andy.
Thank you. I don't see the comment, Luce, but I appreciate the.
It's an invisible man comment.
Yeah, invisible man comment, which Luce, I thought we can touch upon that at the very end really quickly. But thank you.
Real
Luce.
quick, I would just want to add, Andy, that this topic is about Bob Iger and Disney, how great they are and stuff. But I do want Warner Brothers to come up, film wise and kick ass with DC. I do want Sony to do stuff. I'm rooting for all of them. This topic is Bob Iger, and if we're gonna grade Bob Iger, he's hugely successful. He's created, well, not created the company, but the company under his watch is number one. That's it. What more do you want? He's the champ. Do I want other people to come in and step up? Other companies, other studios? Yes, I do, because before journalist, I'm a fan. I want to see some great stuff hit the screen all on a weekly basis. That's just me. But yeah, Bob Iger is awesome. Sorry, there's no. Oh, here we go.
To hear Cameron's reply, because I want to hear him out. Nah, it's good, bro. I don't feel like he'd be a good choice for politics with the amount of frustration about billionaires in office. All right, fair. Yeah. And I'm not endorsing him as I need to hear so much more on policies and things. Obviously, I'm just saying his experience as running that company, and I think the fact that he's well spoken, respected. I think it's enough for me to all right, I'll hear you out. Is all I'm saying. I'll hear him out, because unlike Tom Steyer and all these people, I don't even know who that was. Dude hasn't been very well spoken. There's a lot of these people. I'm just like, what? Why? Who? Bob Iger, at least in my world, I can say, you know what? I'm impressed with the business he ran. I'm impressed with the character he has. I will hear that guy out. Doesn't mean I'm endorsing or want to vote for him. Who knows? But that's all I want. So I'm glad we could clarify our comments there, because I'm not trying to gush for him as president. I'm gushing for him as a CEO. I think he did a great job as a Disney CEO.
This is not an endorsement for
president. We're not a politics or a movie show. And there's a lot of politics in here. And I'll cut to one of your Facebook comments over there. What if he does a Reagan and runs for California governor for eventual run for president? That could be an angle too, right? He could. That's one way to get in there and sort of show more politics. The bottom line is, it seems that could be a very likely scenario as to why he would have dropped out so suddenly. To answer the topic question that we brought up in the title, why would you leave so quickly? Because you want to show all that money you just made. All that money you made in 2019 that you dropped it out, clearly with an intent to drop it all out. Why wouldn't you have given Star Wars or even Toy Story another year, or even Frozen or something, just to spread out the wealth over the course of a couple of years? That's what a studio would typically do. No, can you remember, Lewis, the last time Disney dropped that many tent poles to sort of attempt to get that many billions in 1 year?
No, and I wanted to add also last year, being a member of the press. Man, I was busy, and it was mostly Disney stuff, and they're very welcome. Just so you know, they're very welcoming, and they're open to different opinions as long as it's not personal insults. Constructive criticism, Disney's cool with. But yeah, man, they had me working a lot last year, and I'm very grateful for that. And it was all under Bob Iger. I think what's very shocking, though, Andy, that we haven't touched upon is that the main article that hit yesterday said he's stepping down effective immediately. Mm-hmm. When you say those words, I don't know if it was a press release by Disney or what, or the article, but the one that got out, I think it was MSNBC, effective immediately, kind of sounds like he got fired, right? Yep. So that's why it's shocking. But if you look at what he went to.
And as you're talking, I'm going to cut. Let me show you, because you're right. I just looked up the headline.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere, because it's like, sorry, wait, add to stream. Here we go. Disney CEO Bob steps down effective immediately.
That sounds like he got fired. He got caught doing something. And if you really look at it, he's still huge part of Disney. There's not
effective immediately. He'll stand on executive chairman. But yeah, it was very weird the way it dropped last night, because it made it seem like exactly something bad happened. And to my knowledge, because Jody and I were having this on our stream, he was like, man, you must have cheated on somebody, or there's something about to drop. I don't subscribe to that one. I don't think so. I mean, who knows in this day and age, whatever.
Someone mentioned he may have health issues. I mean, I hope not. Maybe you don't know,
Again, but that's the thing. He put himself out in the spotlight when he did the publicity tour to that book. That's what comes with this. And so, look, he did that maybe to help. If he is sick, then that's tragic and that sucks. In which case he wanted to sort of help put his legacy out there, end on a high note, be with his family. That was the other thing I was saying. Imagine he's not running for office. Imagine if he just wants to be a baller and he's like, you know what? I just want to go hang out and not work, go on an island. I got enough money. I'm good. I don't want the stress of it anymore.
Him and I both, man. If he has a +1.
But I mean, imagine the level of sort of security with yourself and sort of just to be able to do that. Who's at that level? We're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm tapping. Yeah. You know what? I'm full. I had enough power and fame. I'm good. I'm gonna. Who did that? Rick Moranis, and I respect the hell out of the fact that he did that. It's just rare to see somebody by choice leave and then not come back. Even Seinfeld's like, I want to leave on the top, but then here he is driving around in cars with coffee.
Sometimes it's not about money, man. Let me give you a quick story. Billy D. Williams, I had him at a show once, and we were negotiating. And you know what convinced him to visit the show to do autographs? It wasn't the money. It wasn't a guarantee. It was, could I have my son come in and sit next to me? It was just the thing of him having a nice day with his son was enough. So, money.
That's all it takes, right?
Yeah, it's not everything. So.
No, totally well thought out, well said. Real quick, thank you, Mark C, for the support over on YouTube. My YouTube supporters who watch, they help sort of support the streams. That's
nice.
Why I give them priority. So thank you guys for stepping up. And I'll get some of your Facebooks there too. But Disney, and I love this power to be able to turn their chats on in public like this. Mark C, thank you, man. That's very generous of you. Disney is still tens of billions in the red due to Fox. Disney accounting is still being investigated. I would never vote for a man who was this power hungry. Look, you know what? Valid. And a lot of this will come out as he goes. Who knows? Maybe he's sick and then you'll eat your words and feel bad that he actually did this just to be a cool guy. And like, you know what? I wanted to end on top. But look, valid. Is he actually making the money? Did the Fox deal pay off? Did Star Wars pay off? Star Wars did. Star Wars is making its money back. Even in failure, it still makes its money back. Star Wars toys are not, I know the big thing is the toys. Star Wars toys are not just only what you see at Target. There's sideshow collectibles. There's a lot. And they're really expensive. But they also sold it for $4 billion. Was it $4 billion?
$4 billion, which I think is extremely cheap.
Yeah, I mean, they've already made that in their movies alone. Just Star Wars movies have made that back. I mean, granted, there were expenses to those movies. But my point is, I don't know. It seems like that was a worthy... For $4 billion, they made their money, and they'll continue to for ages. That was a worthy purchase. Now, the question is, I see it in the chats a lot. Tony, this conversation, thank you. I'm just showing some love to Tony Robinson because he's a longtime fan.
Love Tony.
This conversation is dope, Andy and Lewis. Thank you, man. Join us every Tuesday as we get doper and doper. Love when Lewis joins me too. But there was something here I saw here that was where was it here? If he can get rid of it, so here we go. Near, I'm giving one negative comment. Attention. If new Bob can get rid of Trashleen Kennedy, he is the goatist. So look, I see this. There's a lot of versions of this comment popping up in this thread, and it makes me think. You know what? Because I've heard rumors. I don't know if you've heard them too, Lewis. I've heard that is happening at some point. That she's stepping down.
Hearing this since she was nominated, so I don't know.
I've heard news like at some point there's going to be a mix up of the new path Lucasfilm. But anyway, my point being, such a smart move for Bob Iger to push that to the next guy. To have kept around and waited and not fired the female lead of Lucasfilm, who's, guys, I know we want to hate on her, but dude, she's a legend, man. She's made fantastic films in her career. And I refuse to just be the guy who's like, you're trash. She's not trash. She's a really smart producer who's worked with Spielberg and Lucas for ages and has made fantastic films that you love. So you got to stop doing that now.
Yeah, and even if you don't like her, maybe because I have a theory that Lucasfilm is not used to, putting out so much stuff so frequently, so they're a bit confused. What if she learned? It feels like we're turning the corner. And what if she's learned now how to manage it correctly with so many films coming out, so many projects, and then she leaves, we get another person that doesn't have a clue. Then we have to start the learning curve again, and we're back in point A, So I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated for sure. But my point is, what a brilliant business move to not fire her and respect her, give her the shot, and then let the new guy have to deal with it. Like that makes me like Bob Iger more, because it's like he was thinking the long game, right? He was really thinking it all the way through. I don't want that to be a
legacy.
Yeah, I don't want that to be my that I fired her right before I left.
Yeah,
like, I'm sure he's told her, like, dude, you're going to be out in the next team, but I'm not going to do it. I'm giving you as much warning as I can. I respect.
Maybe
you.
Kathleen Kennedy wants to retire as well. Isn't she in her mid-60s? I mean, come on, maybe she wants to go to.
I mean, look, she made mistakes with the Star Wars franchise. The buck stops with her. I don't deny that's for sure. Bob Iger admitted they did the wrong thing with Star Wars, so she's responsible for that. So look, the criticism of Kathleen Kennedy is fair. We should be allowed to criticize her, but I think we get a little too vocal in our negative. She's trash. Come on, you got to respect some of the class. Benny Beats, thank you, Benny. I appreciate the support here.
Thanks,
the purchase of Marvel. I don't know why my cam stopped. Did my cam stop? You can
Your
still hear
cam stop, but you look handsome, man. You look handsome.
Good. What happens here? But let me read this and I'll let you talk and I'll reboot mine. The purchase of Marvel alone, I think, has made him a genius. Great show, Andy. Thank you. No, I agreed. Marvel. Don't forget Pixar. He oversaw that too. He was there during that sort of has happened. So look, the guy's, he's great. I don't understand. As a CEO of Disney, he's done great things to make money and to make movies that are great. So I don't know why we are so mean on him. I understand why we're mad at Kathleen Kennedy, but I think that's harsh. Lewis, add some thoughts here as I attempt.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just we're paying extra attention on the negativity or some people not agreeing that Bob Iger did a good job at Disney. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like you said, like Andy said earlier, he took the risks. He with Pixar, that was successful. He did Marvel, that was successful. He's attempting to do the same thing with Star Wars. It's still Star Wars. Star Wars pretty much I would think broke even at this point. So I think overall everything is great. Am I getting an echo here? I don't know, but yeah, so that's the thing. I don't think being overcritical of Bob Iger is valid. I know there's a few concerns right now about the new guy, Bob Chapek. Yeah, because he controlled the parks, right? And prices have gone up. We get a little bit of the stuff with the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and stuff. So maybe those concerns are a little bit more valid, perhaps, because he's a new guy coming in. But Bob Iger, we know very well, and he's not someone we should or deserves a lot of criticism or talked about being a failure. Anyways, we're waiting for Andy to come back in here. Getting a little bit of an echo, and then I'm on. So I'm getting a small echo. Okay. Any other thoughts in the comments? Feel free to chime in. Super chats get put up front. There we go.
I don't. Can you hear me now? You still can't hear me?
You're kind of cutting.
Can you hear me? Okay. As we wrap up, I don't know what happened. Can you hear me a little bit? Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you a little.
Full frame of the Bob Iger story. Sorry, there's a bit not good. But Lewis, thank you for watching. Where can people find you, Lewis?
Hey man, follow me on Twitter at Nerdlecca. I'll be going live on Nerd Report later on. Andy, thanks for having me here, man. It's an honor.
Always good to have you. Sorry, I don't know why I was going to try and refresh, but something's going on in my StreamYard. We're working out the kinks. We're figuring out the show. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I do think this is a good move for Bob Iger. This makes him. He is a good CEO. We'll run, or if that's really the wise thing for him out there. But in the meantime, our thoughts on this, leave your comments down below. Be sure to subscribe over here at Popcorned Planet on YouTube, and go follow Fandom Wire News over on Facebook to join our news feed. A lot of stories and stuff we do. Thank you all you guys who showed support today. We'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be over at Jody's Corner on YouTube at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Have an awesome day. See you later. Bye.
Laters.